And he saw a man standing there pointing a semi-automatic pistol at him. He thought he was going to die, but he thought about the people inside. And in that instant, he found the courage to act and wrestled a semi-automatic pistol away from the gunman who had already killed 11 people in another dance studio. 11. He saved lives. It's time we do the same. Ban assault weapons now. Ban them now. Once and for all.
Banning assault weapons, it is the next frontier in the gun safety movement in America following passage of that sweeping firearms legislation back in June. Do not count on a helping hand from Republicans, many of whom, as we've covered here, have taken to wearing assault rifle lapel pins instead of American flags or Ukrainian flags or anything else in that very same chamber. Of course, such grotesque fashion choices will not deter gun safety advocates and the families impacted, shattered by gun violence. Just a reminder, next week makes it 5 years since the horrifically tragic Parkland shooting. Joining us now on set, gun safety advocate, our dear friend, Fred Guttenberg, whose daughter Jamie was killed in Parkland at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. He's also the co-author of the brand new book, American Carnage, Shattering the Myths That Fuel Gun Violence. It is now available for pre-order. It's so nice to have you here.
I'm actually thrilled to be here with you in person, finally.
You always make me cry. When we talked about the fact that you would be here today, I said to my team, I remember everything about the day that Jamie died. I remember everything. It happened when my colleague Katie Tur was on the air, I think.
Yeah.
And when I was coming on set, it was one of 2 days that I didn't think I could do this. And the other was Uvalde.
You're a parent.
And I find it's a part of my brain that can't process what you've lost and what you've been through still.
Next week is going to be 5 years. It feels like 5 minutes. My wife says all the time that it doesn't feel different. And I keep trying to tell my wife and my son, we are going to be okay. We are okay. Because we have to be. But my daughter's still not a part of our life in a way where we get to collect new pictures and videos and memories and visits at college. And yet we see just last night the despicable half of our government which doesn't give a crap.
I thought of you last night in not just this section, but the president also had guests whose baby girl had fought cancer. And the dad said, if you go, I don't want to stay. And I wonder I just wonder on grief. It swallows so many people whole. And you've become an international icon in your activism for gun safety. How?
Well, it's part of how I get through my grief. Doing this because of a dad who I don't want to meet because his daughter didn't get shot is what I live to do every day now because of what happened to my family. Listen, grief is different for everybody. Some people go into a shell, others find the ability to push forward and do things that they never thought they could do. I become extremely political, and my wife has started doing things far more often to honor my daughter's life and memory and things like our new Paws of Love that we're doing, giving out, companion dogs to families affected by gun violence. We each find our way, but we have to be okay.
Are we going to be okay with the proliferation of guns in America, the proliferation of sadness and loneliness, something that you've talked about, something Senator Murphy has talked about, and the intractable nature of our politics?
I think last night was really strange for a lot of reasons. Because you saw in the stark contrast. President Biden and the Democrats, hopeful and optimistic with a vision, really wanting to take care of the safety of Americans, and another side that was just dark. I mean, looking at Kevin sitting there behind the president, when the president is talking about gun violence that took the lives of people like my daughter, is infuriating. But I choose to focus on the side that has hope, that tells us we are able to do more. And because we will do more, we will save a life. So it ain't easy. It's not going to be easy. But we have to defeat the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene, Bo Burt, all the crazy. Let's not call them anything but crazy, because they are.
Right.
And Kevin, who enables them, he should be gone.
Elevated them. I mean, and I think you always draw it back to what freedom means, right? You also have taught us that while the mass shootings are the things that end up on the news, people are impacted by gun violence every day.
Listen, mass shootings are actually not the most common way that people get killed because of gun violence. It is the everyday shootings, but the most common is suicide. It is, you know, when people talk about mental health and gun violence, that's the part that we really need to be focusing on. But the everyday gun violence, and gun violence in all its types, isn't just about those who are killed like my daughter. It is about those who survive, like myself, my wife, and my son, who has to live. He's 22 now. He was 16 then. He will forever have to live with what happened. And there are communities and families across America who understand what I'm saying. So when we talk about gun violence, I just hope we always capture the big picture and not just the numbers who were killed.
And we have to sneak in a break, but we're going to have that conversation, because that's your son's experience and his trauma is part of what knits you together with our next guest who's going to join us here, right?
Thank
you.
You.
You're not going anywhere. When we come back, Congressman Jared Moskowitz, whose own son was hiding in a nearby school during the Parkland shooting and was comforted by Fred's wife, who we've been talking about. He'll join our conversation next.